Millennials, welcome. We have here today Ellie Burscough. I'm so excited to have you here live with us. And some of you guys, this is a surprise. She's actually joining us from Queensland, Australia. So it's definitely a different day, I think. And so it's awesome that you're here with us. And Mom Millennials, I'm so excited to have her here with us because you know how I'm all about showcasing women doing amazing things, building their Mompire, building the life that they want to design. And I followed her for a while. She's designed a beautiful life. She has 2 beautiful children, but I will stop doing so much of the talking and I would let her introduce herself. So Ellie, please tell us about you and your passion. And yeah, I'm just excited.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much for having me. So I, like you said, I have 2 kids. Charlotte is almost 8 and Gabrielle is 5. And I run a successful business here in Australia. I travel a lot. I traveled to 14 countries last year, and I'll be moving to Portugal in June. And so we'll actually be living in Europe for 18 months and traveling all around there. And I've really created a life that allows me to support my family and to have the freedom that we want as well in the lifestyle.
That's amazing. No, honestly, this is why I really wanted to have you on here with us because, guys, you know, Mom Millennials is about really taking control of your life. And I was talking to Ellie just prior to going on, and she actually told me that she started her business because of her daughter. And I find that a lot of us moms, you know, when we have kids, it really changes us internally in a very deep level, right? And we realize that it's now we're responsible for these children. Say hey guys, just want to say hi to our viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Angela, Ray, Jane, thank you so much. Ask us any questions along the way. We're going to be talking about motherhood. We're going to be talking about the Mompire she's created, how she's designed this life, you know, the struggle behind it as well, because you know, it's beautiful to see the result, but it's so important to showcase the hardship behind it as well, so that, you know, everything that I show is behind the scenes as well for me in my life. And I'm just excited to showcase that, guys. So yes, just ask any questions in the comment and we'll answer them as we go along. So Ellie, you were saying that as you started, when you started your business, you just had become a mom. So can you tell me a bit more about how that experience was for you and what made you kind of click into that?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually living in London when I fell pregnant, and I'd only known my, I say partner because we're not married, but everyone in America always asks if I'm gay or, you know, so, but then if I say boyfriend, it feels like I'm a teenager. So anyway, that's what I mean by partner. We've been together almost 9 years, but when I fell pregnant, I'd actually only known him for 3 months. Wow. And he's 8 years older than me, so he stood by my side. He wasn't like I was 22 at the time, and he wasn't like I guess, a stereotypical 22-year-old male that would just like run away from that. And he's like, don't worry, I'm sticking with you. I'm here for you. And we moved back to Australia, and throughout my pregnancy, I actually worked until I was 39 weeks pregnant in a call center because I had no other option. I had no money. My partner wasn't allowed to work. He was on a tourist visa. And so I walked to work. I had no money for a car. So I walked to work with my big belly, and which got slower as the pregnancy progressed as well. And it was after that literally had no money, was living on welfare, that I decided I wanted to create a better life for myself and my family. And when I was pregnant, I'd put on 20 kilos, which is about, I think, maybe 42, 45 pounds, something like that. Yeah. And I wanted to be able to lose the weight, but lose it in a healthy way afterwards, but lose it quickly as well so I could get my body back. And so I actually ended up losing 29 kilos after having my daughter within 7 months. And I saw a gap in the market. I saw that there were no mums boot camps with babysitting included in the parks. They were all like having to push them in the prams and getting no time out for themselves. And so I started a mums boot camp with babysitting included in the parks. And I was the first one to do that in my area. And so that was because of that gap in the market, because of the journey I'd just been through, I, lost the weight and all of that, but also because my biggest why was that I wanted to create a better life for myself and my family and give ourselves freedom and choice to do what we want and make a difference in the world as well. But that all started with making a difference in my world.
Wow. It's amazing. We actually have a lot of similarities, which is, it's crazy how, we think that we are all on these, we isolate ourselves a lot in our heads and think, oh, we're so alone in this journey. But to hear stories like yours, it really reminds me, and this is why it's so important to continue these conversations about what really happens as we go through these new journeys in our lives and showcase it. And thank you so much for sharing that, because when you start out, especially in your 20s, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, and to have the courage to know that you have to work like regardless of there's no option, right? So you got to work hard. Yeah. There's no excuses. There's no you just can't. There's no time to think about it or dwell in what's happened. You just kind of go. And I found myself in a lot of situations. So let's see what the people are saying. How was it? How did your family and friends adjust to your own business? Were they supportive? So Jane said that. And then, so I'll put that up so people can see. If you'd like to answer that.
Yeah, good question. And I think I actually connected with Jane the other day. So that's cool that she's on. So they weren't supportive, to be honest. I remember my dad telling me, don't be a personal trainer. The market's saturated. You'll never make any money. And that made me push to go, well, stuff you. I'm going to prove you wrong. And that gave me more drive to actually be successful. And so because I didn't have the support from friends and family, and also my mom was living overseas at the time, so I didn't have her with me, who she really does understand this kind of stuff more. But yeah, I didn't have that support, and it was literally just me and my partner. That was my support. He was my rock. And I had to do it by myself, and I had to create something where a lot of my friends didn't understand. I'd gone to live overseas, and I was, my identity before I fell pregnant was the party girl. And so I came back to Australia. Everyone's still thinking I was the party girl. I had this new baby and a new business. So I'm like defying what's normal in two senses there. A young mom, not super young, but a young mom still, and then starting a business. And so I really didn't have the support, but I had the support from my partner, and I had the support within myself. And that drove me to create the success. And because I'd really come from nothing, and like you said before, like I had no plan B, so I had to make it work. And I used to run with my daughter in the pram, the exercise equipment underneath the pram, because I still had no car. And I would go running, walking 40, 50, 60 kilometers a week. Sorry, I don't know miles, so you guys will have to work that out if you're in America. But yeah, literally just running, walking everywhere to get to my classes, and also to network with businesses, drop off flyers, do whatever I could to make my business successful. And the other thing was that I also invested in a mentor very early on, and it was a husband and wife team. And having their support and the support of other entrepreneurial people who were further ahead than me really helped me to step into this new world of people who had done it, people who were further ahead that could support me to get there faster than what I could myself.
That's amazing that you bring up. Actually, that's one of the key things I think that I've also done for myself is investing in a coach. And I've worked with a coach since I started my journey into entrepreneurship, and it has accelerated my business in so many ways. And I think that's key into, sometimes, like, personally, my support system is not the biggest, but the small support system that I do have is powerful. And I've surrounded myself with women who are doing amazing, amazing things that I can look to them any moment in time and know that, my vision is clear. My vision is clear. I take all the fog and just it clears up. And actually, Jane says, what was the smallest change in your business that made the biggest impact? That's a good one.
Yeah, good question. Jane's full of the good questions today.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think anything's a small change, really. I can remember a lot of big changes in investing in a mentor and going and taking action. You know, the first thing that the mentor wanted me to do with him was $1,000. And, you know, this is someone who'd been living on welfare and had no savings, no money, no car. $1,000 felt like 100,000 at the time. But he, instead of saying, oh, you can't afford me, like, get lost, he actually gave me tips, action steps to put in place. And I started taking action on those things, you know, talking to mums in the park and getting their phone numbers and then getting on a sales call with them and going to like indoor play centers and connecting with the mums there, just really putting myself out there so that I could find more mums and network with people and get my first clients on board. So I guess that would be the biggest one, but small changes, I guess, is just in, I really don't think anything's small. I think everything's been quite big in investing in myself, in working on my mindset and personal development, just taking action, never giving up. And really, you know, in that initial stage, when you're going from 0 to 100K, it's really about putting yourself out there, building your list, forming those connections, and making sure that you're known, because people don't know you. And it's that stuff, but it's also in knowing yourself, in working on yourself so that you're clear, you're not putting crap out there that's attached to, you know, limiting beliefs and things like that. Working on yourself so that you can actually put yourself out there as someone who does inspire and motivate others and can be that true leader.
No, that's amazing. And that's a great question, actually, Jane. Thank you for that. And we actually have Sarah who said, what is the best advice, your best advice for a mom with a new business idea, but maybe they're afraid to jump into it?
Yeah, good question. So I guess it's just weighing up between what you're currently doing and what you want to do. So there's a couple of different things, obviously, without really knowing about Sarah. You could be a stay-at-home mom at the moment. Actually, if you want to pop it up, are you a stay-at-home mom, or are you working in a job and you're wanting to step into your own thing? Because I guess there's two differences there. Mm-hmm. So with that, you know, what I've found, though, as a general overview for both of those things is a lot of the time, if you have a business idea, if you have something that you want to do and you're not doing it, what you're currently doing isn't good enough. And, you know, like being a mom is amazing. And it's one of the greatest kind of journeys we can go on, and greatest learning journey as well. Teaches us patience and, you know, so many other things. She just said a bit of both. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we can actually find that if we are staying at home or we're working in a job that we don't really like, and there's something where, you know, you can really make a bigger difference in the world, then you're holding yourself back by doing what you're currently doing. And when you step into doing what you really want to do, not only will you transform more people's lives, but you're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to be inspired within yourself. You're going to be in alignment with your values. And what that does, it helps you live your best life for yourself and make yourself a priority. It helps make a big impact in the world. But it also, you know, being a mom, we want to be a good role model for our kids. And when you're practicing what you preach and you're living that life, you're the best role model for them. Like, imagine what you're portraying if you live a life until you're old where you're not putting yourself first, or you've got these amazing ideas, but they're just dreams and you're not actually actioning them and making them a reality. So you can be that role model for your kids by showing them, not just telling them, by actually practicing it and embodying it and living that life.
No, 100%. I think, thank you so much. That's such a great answer, because, you know, I think as we become moms, like when I came into this journey, I was finding the same thing. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was in a really dark place. I was very depressed. I was like, I don't want to leave to go to the workforce, but I don't want to just be at home, you know, and to really dig deep and to have the courage to ask the tough questions. And it's basically, what's the saying? I'm really bad with sayings, so don't mind me. But the saying is like, you live how others aren't willing to live, so that you live now how others aren't willing to live, so can have what others aren't going to have, something like that. I forget how the saying goes.
Yeah, but, totally.
So that's basically like at these moments, I know, especially when you're a mom and finances are a big deal, and, you know, the insecurity is a lot because you feel responsible and kind of selfish. I felt selfish saying, actually, I'm not going to make an income for a while until this really it's gonna take a lot of work and a lot of activity, and a lot of action moves, and it's a sacrifice. But it's like I have to be okay with feeling those feelings and being like it's gonna work out, and we put a lot of ourselves, right? We really do. So it's nice to know that, you know, we're not alone in this, and that's the thing. Like, we are not alone in this, but making those moves that Ellie was talking about. Oh, sorry. That Ellie was talking about really shows that, you know, motherhood is so inspiring in so many ways, and it can kick her butt into high gear. It really can, right? Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Sarah, for that. So
I find as well what you were saying before around, you know, I found with a lot of moms, they struggle to put themselves first. And they feel like, well, my family has to come first, my kids come first, so I can't start a business, or I can't spend more time in the business, or I can't even, you know, practice self-care and do things for myself. And the thing is, if you're putting yourself first, it doesn't mean you're putting anyone else last. It means you're just as important. And if you put yourself up there on an equal footing, then you, like I said, you're being that good role model, but you're also giving back to yourself, and you've got to give back to yourself. Otherwise, you're constantly giving to everyone and everything else, and you end up getting burnt out or sick, or just people not respecting your boundaries, and you're not actually going to create the life that you want.
No, and that's so that's so true. I mean, for me, first thing, self-care and putting yourself first is like every mom I talk to, when I talk to moms who are looking into getting coaching with me, it's about, well, I'm like, what are your 3 priorities? They're like, my house, my child, and then like 4th is me, and like, you know, like 5th on the priority, my business, and then I'm like, you know what's the funny thing? Turn those 3 priorities the other way. It's you and then the rest, because you can't be half full if you're empty from giving out everything within you. I feel tapped out. I'm like, I'm tapped out, guys. There's nothing I can give if I don't give the best to myself first.
Yeah. And if you put that in 3 things as well, it's like your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, and then your business. So if you're looking after yourself first, then you're going to be able to have energy and be confident and show up in the right way. Then you're looking at your relationships with others. So if you've got, you know, husband or significant other, your family, your kids, your friends, all that kind of stuff, because I know probably the people can relate to this, that if I'm having an argument with my partner or things are off there, it makes everything else so much harder. But when we're good and we're in alignment, everything else flows. So it's sorting that stuff out second. And then third is the business, because if you're clear in those first 2 things, the business just flows.
That's so true. It's very true. I mean, the relationship that we have with ourselves, I think it's something a lot of us ignore, and a lot of us forget that that's the first priority, because that determines our mindset, that determines how we give and how we receive. And the flow with the partner is so important, whoever that may be for you. You know, your support system, the person that really encourages you on a daily, is so important to have a really good flow. And you know what's funny, for me, it hasn't always been that way, where the flow of our partnership feels like a very supportive one. But it doesn't mean that I let that be the end all and be all of everything. So I think as women, we have to, there's a lot that we find very difficult to do, specifically when it comes to once we become mother, because we want to juggle it all. You know, that thing about balance. I hate when moms try to say, how do you balance everything? I get asked that a lot, or how do you manage? I'm like, honestly, I had a live on this yesterday. I'm like, because so many moms were messaging me with like, how do I do it with like a child and social media and business and all that stuff. And I'm like, honestly, I don't do it all. That's the truth. That's the secret sauce. I don't do it all. I say,
and I think balance, like, you can have balance, but it doesn't mean that everything is equally balanced each day or each week. It's balanced as a whole. And so when you're like, I use Google Calendar, I would be lost without it. And I schedule in everything that I have for the week. But the first things that go in are family time and time out for myself. Otherwise, we can get so busy with our work that, the other stuff just doesn't even fit in. It doesn't happen. And so I schedule out time for exercise, time for myself, time with family, and then I put in my work stuff. And it's all color coded and it looks all pretty as well. And it's synced with my partner and my team, so everyone can see what I have going on. And anything that's not in there, I completely forget. I need to have everything in there. And that means I'll have balance as a whole. But some weeks I'll be working more in the business, and that's okay. Some weeks I'll have a week off, and that'll be more family time and more experiences. But it all balances out in the end.
That's amazing. No, I think to have tools that'll help you schedule your life in a way that, you do find some sort of rhythm to it is key for us moms that are trying to kind of put a little bit of ourselves in everything that we do. But I would love to know more about, okay, so that was your beginnings when you started, you were just becoming a mom, and you were doing the training with new moms. So what happened after that? How did that all evolve for you as your kids grew?
Yeah, so I did a lot of work on my personal development, on my business development. I let go of a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of things I was holding on to from the past. And I grew that business quite quickly. I grew it to 100,000 in a year and 200,000 in under 2 years. In the second year, I was pregnant with my second child, and I was very, very sick in that pregnancy. And I kind of had the hustle mentality from my mentors and the people I was hanging around at the time. And so everyone was telling me, you need to slow down, you're getting sick. This is why, because you're not stopping. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's I'm not an invalid. I can do what I want. But really, in retrospect, it's like, and looking back, it's like, I definitely was pushing myself too much. And so I actually ended up selling that business in after 2 years, and shortly after I had my second child. And I kept myself quite small for a couple of years. And I think I needed that, but it got to then a stage where I felt like I was holding myself back and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And even during that journey as well, like my identity had changed from the party girl to the mom. And it was like I was just a mom, and I wasn't expressing myself in the way I wanted to. I wasn't doing things for myself. I wasn't catching up with friends. And so that came to a head. I think it was maybe 2014, something like that. I was binge eating and emotional eating because I wasn't living in alignment with my values. And so once I changed that identity and started putting myself first, started going to the gym again, catching up with friends, going to concerts, started dyeing my hair bright pink and wearing clothes I wanted to wear again. And I then found that I was living in alignment with my values, which meant I stopped emotional eating and binge eating just like that. And I also grew my business very quickly as well. And I was more in balance and alignment in all areas of my life. So that was really, really helpful. And it came to the end of 2014 where my business had actually gone downhill. And so I decided at that point that I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And that I was procrastinating, scrolling through Facebook, not reaching my goals, not reaching out to people and things like that. So I decided to take my business seriously again. By doing that, having that mindset shift and the strategy shift and taking more action, reaching out and, making sales calls and things like that, I ended up tripling my business in 3 months. And then it's just gone up since then. And not just income wise, but I've really created amazing experiences. I live in my dream house. I travel a lot, like I mentioned before. My partner works in my business now, so he doesn't need to work. And I teach my kids like amazing lessons about business and life and things like that. And just something to share, it's really cute, from my daughter the other day. I took her out on a mommy-daughter date. Mm-hmm. And I was asking her questions. We play this question game where I ask her a question, then she answers, and then she asks me a question. And I do this with my partner as well. And I asked her, what would be one thing that you would love to do in the world? And I thought she was going to say, you know, an experience or like go somewhere or do something. And she said, I wish that everyone had a home and everyone had food and money that they need to do whatever they want. And I was like, it just almost made me cry because it's like the things that the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm sharing with her, it's rubbing off and it's starting to sink in now, which she's almost 8 and she's really smart and got a good understanding of the things I've been trying to teach her.
That's amazing. I think, honestly, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I have a young daughter, and to me, it's like it gives me, you know, it fills me so much. And I know it fills a lot of you, of our mamas out there who are watching, who are going through things and, you know, always questioning themselves, always feeling like, how will their kids feel? You know, how will this end up? But to hear, you know, to know that you've worked so hard to get to where you are. And your kids now are seeing the fruits of all this, and you're seeing the fruits from within of all the hard work that you've done. It really gives me hope, and I think a lot of moms would you know, just to know that there is that their kids are going to be able to one day say the same things to them, and to know that, you know, that what we're working so hard for is actually getting through. And sometimes we don't know. I mean, we always just act, and we're like, well, I hope something's staying, you know, and that's what we love.
And that's why I really worked a lot on myself, on energy and balance and things like that, to let go of that hustle mentality. I was escaping into the business and into other things. And, you know, I was binge drinking in 2015. I don't drink at all now. I got myself healthy and happy so that I could then have a good balance between work and life. And now I'm more present with my kids. And because I'm more present and I take that time to be one-on-one with them, that's how I'm able to teach them these things and even have those conversations for that to be able to come up as well.
Wow. And what helped you? Like, because the thing is, I find that I'm in the hustle mentality. Like, I work really hard. Like, I go hard. And I know a lot of our moms who are doing some sort of entrepreneurial thing, they're always working hard. They're always stressing out. And for me, it's like, I would love to know what helped you make that distinction and turn off that hustle mentality so much.
Yeah. So well, one thing is you need to work hard. If you're trying to get to the 100K mark, you know, you need to work harder than when you're doing multi 6 figures or 7 figures. But that doesn't mean you can't look after yourself. So if you're working hard, you're putting yourself out there, you're taking massive action, being super productive, be productive on the things that matter, focus on marketing and sales and connecting with people. And don't just waste time scrolling through Facebook and doing things that are unproductive. So work hard in the time that you've got. But then I think I said one day, and people love this, I said, like, work hard, but chill hard as well. Like, you know, it's one or the other. Don't be like, if you're chilling out, don't be checking your phone and trying to do a bit of work. Like, it's one or the other. Have that distinction. And so that's part of it. Yes, you do need to put yourself out there more if you're in that bracket. But then as you grow to multi 6 figures and 7 figures, it's about doing less and creating systems and structure and team to support you. But in that initial stage and at every stage, like, get enough sleep, eat well, move your body, take time out with your family, take time out for yourself. You can still do that even when you're growing and putting that time in. But then from the hustle mentality as well, it comes from multiple reasons. It comes from basically from any mentors that we have, if they're promoting that. It can come from our family, what we grew up with. My dad is 52 or 53 now, and he's still hustling and pushing and working hard in his business. And it's like, I didn't want to be like that when I'm in my 50s, you know? And so I've actually outgrown him on that aspect and learnt from him. But I also still learn other things where, you know, he has a massive team way bigger than me, and we kind of bounce off each other, which is really cool. So I learned these things from my dad, and I learned them from mentors. And so I started, when I worked on myself, I attracted in different mentors and different communities and let go of the things from the past. And the thing is, the hustle mentality and trading your time for money comes from the Industrial Revolution. And, when things, this is like over 100 years ago or so, people are having to work hard. They're working in factories and things like that. And you can only earn so much money. Whereas now we don't need to trade our time for money. You don't need to, working more doesn't equal more money. Yeah. We have the internet, we have group programs, we have events and retreats and speaking and so many different things you can do. And so it's changing that mindset, letting go of the old outdated view, and really stepping into this new place where you can actually leverage your time.
Wow, that was really to the point, and I love that. Thank you so much for that information, because that actually helps me a lot, and I think that's what my coach really helps me with, because to let go of that mentality of hustle, 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 and that a mentality that you work, like your time is money kind of thing, it's really hard to let go. It's really, really difficult. It's not a given for me, and it's something that I constantly need to remind myself, like literally, it's funny because even in the way I talk, sometimes it comes out that how I undervalue myself. And I think a lot of us moms do, we undervalue ourselves. Yeah. And it's like, no, actually your time is not money. What you give them is quality. You give them experience. You give them
community, experience. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that journey actually took me about 2 or 3 years. I can't just, hopefully what I just said inspires people listening, but you're not going to just click your fingers and go, well, Ellie said this or someone said this, so now my whole life's going to change. That was like a 2 or 3 year journey for me to let go of things that had happened in the past with my dad. And, like I didn't have a bad childhood, but I was craving attention from my dad that I didn't get. And so that made me then act out and use drugs and sleep around and, do things like that. So I had to let go of that stuff. And I did that by working one-on-one with a mindset coach for almost 2 years. I studied NLP, and I've been an NLP practitioner since 2015.
Can you clarify just for?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So neuro-linguistic programming. So basically with that, I help people to release past negative emotions, which is anger, sadness, hurt, fear, and guilt, and then let go of the future as well. And so when we let go of the past, it's usually things that happen when we're 0 to 7 years old. This is the imprinting phase. This is when we learn what we believe to be true about the world from our parents mostly. And, logically with our adult minds, these things don't make sense. But at a subconscious level, we're still holding on to them from when we were little. I had a client one day who she felt like she wasn't good enough. That came up in a session because her mum gave her sister the good chocolate biscuits and not her. And so, logically, it's like, that doesn't make sense. That's stupid. But when you go back to that root cause, and I do this through something called timeline therapy, we go back to the root cause. So it might be at 5 years old, for example, and you change the perspective and you change the story from the situation so you can let go and get those positive lessons and learnings to be able to move forwards. And so that's why when things happen in your life now, it wasn't that person that had a go at you on your post. It wasn't the client that dropped off. It wasn't the argument you just had with someone. It's actually your reaction to that right now is from the things that have happened in the past. And so when we clear this stuff up from the past, the things that are happening right now, you just like have no emotional charge around it. It's like, oh, that doesn't even matter anymore. So that's what I do with that, but it's also releasing the future. So what the future is overwhelm, anxiety, stress, and fear. And so because we're thinking about the future of like, what if they reject me? What if, what if someone says no on a sales call? What if this doesn't happen? So it's letting go of those things from the future. And when we let go of the past and the future, we're able to be fully present and we're not triggered by things.
Wow. No, I've had heard of NLP, and it's funny because I've heard of it in kind of a passing way, but to get really the real background of how it works and how it's actually practiced, it makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people try to do that in a way, one way or another, but to get it from a root cause of like in your childhood, in the imprint years, it's definitely interesting because I mean a lot of my personal traits come from things that had happened to me growing up, especially as a young kid. And even with my coach now that I work with, we work through all these issues where it's like all of this comes from those insecurities that are so imprinted subconsciously in our mind, you know. It really is like,
and when you're looking at things like logically, so you can, you know, a situation might come up and you're like, oh, okay, well, these are the lessons and this happened, and strategically and logically it's making sense, but it can still be there at the unconscious level. And so that's why we kind of go and take that different perspective to be able to release it from the subconscious level rather than just logically like, oh yeah, well, you know, this makes sense. It's fully releasing it so that you can not have that anymore.
No, that's amazing. And I think, you know, having, you know, it's funny because these are the things that you only learn when you come upon them, but to have someone really explain to you kind of what they went through to get to where they are in a very, like, the type of education they got, the type of help, the type of mentors, the type of support they had. Guys, this is all like really showing you a lot of behind the scenes, because it does not happen overnight. It is not a snap of a finger. It is you literally in those hard times, and I have been through hard times in my own life. It gives you that perspective that this is meant to happen because it's supposed to push you even further, you know, supposed to push you further into what you're supposed to do, you know.
And things happen, and if we don't learn the lesson, we're going to keep that cycle going, and you keep attracting manipulative people in, or people who don't respect your boundaries or whatever. And these things that are outside of us, it's actually about us. So these things that show up, we get triggered by them and emotional and all of that, because it's actually showing us something within ourselves. If someone's not respecting your boundaries, it's because you're not respecting your boundaries. If someone's being manipulative, it's because you're not being the leader that you need to be, or you're not being strong in your convictions, and you're attracting that in for someone to be able to walk all over you. And so it's actually looking at these situations outside of us and looking, okay, well, no one outside of me can dictate how I live my life. I love the quote, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So we can, you know, we can blame and we can justify and we can put it outside of us and take that responsibility off ourselves. But that doesn't teach you anything. When you actually turn it around, it's called mirror theory. When we hold up the mirror and look back within ourselves at, okay, what can I learn? How am I being manipulative? Or how am I not respecting my boundaries? Or, you know, what do I need to learn about myself to not attract that in again? And when you learn those lessons, you stop attracting it and you attract in more amazing people and opportunities.
Wow. Actually, Dee just asked, sorry, let me post up her question. Curious, how do you cope mentally with the uncertainty in the economy, in business, in your own cash flow? And it can be anxiety provoking, and it's only amplified by motherhood.
Good question, actually, that I didn't see that. And then I kind of just spoke about it as well, because what I just spoke about really ties into that. So if you're saying the economy or, you know, people or things outside of you, it's taking that responsibility and control away from yourself. And so don't worry about the economy. You know, the greatest things that the best businesses and the most successful businesses have actually been formed in times of hardship, when the global financial crisis and the depression and things like that. That's when people have succeeded more than any other time in history. So I don't think the economy is something that we should blame. I don't think we should blame anyone or anything else outside of us. Take 100% control for your own actions and your emotions and your reactions to things as well. And when you do that, you'll be able to create that consistency in your life. From a strategic standpoint, you really want to build recurring income, because the recurring income will help you to build that cash flow, have consistent cash flow, and then you're not having to worry about that. And you can do that from ongoing masterminds or courses or things like that, where you're not just getting a one-off payment, but you're actually building that community and that recurring income for yourself.
Yes. And actually, I want to add a little bit to that, because that was such a good question, specifically because I that's what everyone asks themselves when they're starting a business. Oh, but the economy. Oh, but my financial background. Guys, I started this from nothing. No money in the bank, just an idea. And tons of resources and amazing people I surrounded myself with. And the thing is, like, you have to be okay with sacrifice as well. Like, if you're living a certain lifestyle, I can't live that lifestyle unless I can afford that lifestyle. And a lot of the time we say, oh, I can't start a business because I don't have the money. But if you look at what you're spending, how you're spending, like, there's a lot of logical things you can do if you are willing to go all in on something. And and I decided to go all in, which meant cut down, so that I can afford to be at home with my child, work my butt off to build this from the ground, and not have to be worried about paying the next bill, paying this thing, paying, you know what I mean? Like, so I had to make a conscious decision that sacrificed a lot of things that, you know, are luxuries for me, I think about it, right?
And to add on to that as well, when you are making good money, it doesn't mean you have to spend it all. You know, when I started making consistent 10, 20K months, I moved to a big house. Like, my house is $910 a week rent. Like, that's a lot of money. And before that, I was paying $390. So it was a big jump up in cost. But I live in like a 3-story house. We've got a movie theater. We've got a pool. We're surrounded by bushland, and there's like kangaroos and all around my house. But it's only like 10 minutes or 15 minutes from the city. It's a beautiful spot. But I moved to a big house. I was getting personal training sessions twice a week, massages twice a week. I had a personal chef. I had a cleaner. One day I bought an $800 dress because I was sad. You know, like, I was making stupid decisions because it was like, oh, look at all this money. I'm just going to go spend it and live it up and have this amazing lifestyle. But what I found, that keeps a lot of people around the 10K or so month mark in your business. And so what you want to do is invest back into your business, put money in savings, put money into things that are going to make you more money. You can enjoy a lifestyle, but you don't need to have all of those things if you actually want to create long-term wealth and focus on your net worth. I see a lot of people that are really good at making money, but then they're really good at spending it as well. And yes, invest back into your business. Like, I always have mentors. I'm always working on myself to be able to really step it up to that next level. But you know, frivolous things like eating out every day and buying designer clothes, or, you know, doing things where you're not actually looking at your numbers, it holds you back. And for me, even though I'm making more than I've ever made, I actually have a little bit of the mentality of when I had no money. And so I have an abundance mindset, but I'm also now budgeting and not acting as if there is thousands and thousands of dollars sitting in the account. Having strict, spending money on myself still and my business, obviously, but not eating out every day and going, okay, you know, I put $500 into a separate account each week for the family, and actually sticking to that, not going, oh, well, there's money over here. Let's just spend that because I want to go out, or I want to get a massage, or I want to do whatever. And, you know, when you know your numbers, when you're sticking to a budget, but also still having that abundance mentality as well, then you'll really be able to create that long-term wealth, not something that's just a short-term, you know, business or short-term success.
Wow. No. Oh, wow. And it's so true. And don't you find that the more you work on yourself, the less you care about designer stuff? Like, isn't it like, so you would think, it's funny because when you work on yourself, you feel so satisfied from within that you don't think, the more I work on myself, I'm like, things that superficially fulfilled me, like shopping all the time, like doing this, doing that all the time. And like, I used to love going out partying and drinking. Love it. Yeah. Love it. And I'm like, every time I had money, I'm like, let's go party, let's go drinking, let's go dancing. But now I'm like, honestly, I feel so full inside that I can enjoy a glass of wine and not feel like I need to like take a whole bottle down to feel like I'm fulfilled or I'm feeling excited. Because it's working on yourself. It just makes you excited because you're pushing yourself to the next level.
Exactly. That's a really good point. And that designer dress, I've worn it twice and I just want to get rid of it now. It's like, I don't need it. And this dress, I don't know how much you can see, but this is one of my favorite dresses and it costs like 20 or 30 bucks, you know, like it's not about the money. And when you're happy within yourself, like you said, you don't need to be spending on the external. Like a lot of people are escaping with the external, with binge drinking, with binge eating, with hustling and being busy all the time, all that kind of stuff, rather than focusing on what's in here. And that's actually one of my core messages. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because when I've done the internal work and been happy within myself, I stopped binge drinking, I stopped binge eating, I stopped hustling, and I don't escape anymore because I'm happy within myself.
That's amazing. And I think that's such an important message for moms to hear. Guys, the sacrifice that you make is not a sacrifice because it's for you. All that insecurity that you feel is because we've been educated to think that we have to live life a certain way. But in reality, if you are unhappy, you are actually losing more than you think. You're losing yourself. You're losing time. You have one life to live, and to be a mom, and to be, to live this journey that's going to take, however many years it is that you are on this earth. So I really am so happy that I find passion in what I do, that I get to meet passionate people like yourself who have designed the lifestyle that they want, and now you help other entrepreneurs do this. So tell me a little bit more about what you do with entrepreneurs now.
Yeah, sure. So when I sold that old business, like I said before, kept myself small for a little while, but I stepped into business coaching, and I made sure that I'd already created a successful business before I started doing that. There's so many coaches out there that, they've never created the success themselves first. So I made sure I'd created that. And with the income, but also in, I'd had a team and I'd had a fully systemized business that I was able to sell. So I stepped into it after that. Now, I've been in the coaching industry now for 5 years, but got really serious about it in end of 2014, start of 2015. I help people to grow their business to 6 and 7 figures whilst creating more freedom and that lifestyle that they want. And so, it's about the strategy, but it's about the mindset. You can have all the strategy in the world, but if your head's not in the right space, you're not going to take action.
I'm here. Hey guys. Sorry, we're just having some technical difficulties, but I think Ellie is going to be on with us shortly. Ellie.
Hey.
Awesome. We lost you. I'm not sure what happened. I was like,
yeah, froze. So I was just actually, I can't remember what I was saying.
I know. So you were saying you were going. So now you work with entrepreneurs, teaching them how to go to build a business and make 6 to 10 figures.
6 to 7 figures. Yeah. So I help people who are just starting out, but I also help people who are already at 6 figures and want to go to 7 figures or multi 6 figures. But it's about, it's not just about the money. It's about creating that life that they want. It's creating the freedom. It's making a bigger impact in the world and transforming people's lives. And that all starts with then transforming their life to start as well, overcoming those limiting beliefs, being able to put themselves out there more and, make that difference in the world. It's amazing. I've got clients who have grown successful businesses, but they're just doing amazing things in the world. Like one's just started an animal sanctuary in Portugal, and she's living sustainably over there. She moved from England to Portugal, and that was her 10-year goal, and she's done it in a year. And she's been in media and lots of speaking gigs and all sorts of amazing things. Like she's awesome. And so, I just love working with inspiring people. And it's not like I'm the one that's up here. It's like we're all equal, and everyone, it's about bringing amazing minds together so that we can make that bigger impact and bigger difference in the world.
No, that's amazing. And you're going to be in Portugal soon, you said. So you travel a lot, you get to experience the world. And I think that for us, the generation that is growing now, it's like we want to make environmental changes. We care about the environment. We care about being more conscious about what we're doing in this world. We want to help others. We want to collaborate. We want to grow and bring others with us. So our idea of wealth and success is really developing in so many ways. And it's
definitely.
Right?
Yeah. And I guess tying into that and what we were talking about before as well, I've actually spent the last year or so minimizing. So getting rid of a lot of stuff, toys and books and clothes and paperwork that I didn't need and things like that. And so that we have less. And we're moving to Portugal in June. We'll be there for about 18 months. And we're going to be traveling around Europe and wherever else we want to go. I'm having a videographer following me around, and we're going to be ticking things off our bucket list, like going and staying in an igloo under the Northern Lights and sledding with huskies in Norway. Someone's invited me to do that. I also want to volunteer in every country that I go in. I want to volunteer as well. And so I'll be documenting that journey. So this year is really about not only growing my business and helping other people to do that, but creating amazing experiences in my family's life and in my clients and other people's lives as well.
That's amazing. So I would love for moms to be able to follow your journey. So where will you be keeping all of us updated on your travels? Because I think that's exciting for us to see and to really support you through that and learn from all your experiences as you're going through. So where can you find all your stuff?
So most of it is just under my name, Ellie, so Ellie, and then Burscough, Burscough. That's my personal page on Facebook, my business page, my website is ellieburscough.com.au. If you want any other links like my podcast or anything like that, I can shoot them through. But yeah, most of my stuff is Ellie Burscough. Feel free to shoot me a friend request. Anyone who's watching this, just shoot me a message as well, so I know where you've come from. And I'm always connecting with people on my personal page as well. I have a free group called Time Hackers, if people want to join that. And it's to help people, grow their business, but create more time and freedom in their lives as well. So happy to have people in that community as well, if you want to connect there.
Yes, definitely. I think for what we need, moms need all the time hacking advice we can get.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, that's the thing, like trying to schedule yourself and create something that you can really do day to day is not easy. But I this is why I built a support system. This is why I've been lucky to really ask people around me to support me through this journey. And I think moms, sometimes we have to be really creative about it. Like I've done mom swaps where like we talk to other moms who are in different areas or in the same area, and like
cool.
we sit for each other, because that's saving money and having time to get whatever the other mom wants to do, they can do. None of it just like you need you time, you need your work time, whatever it is, do it. So to get creative, and that's part of the message that I send, and I think a lot of what you do is really designed, guys, Take the tools. There's so many tools out there. It's unlimited. So I think from what I've gotten from all this is really invest in yourself in anything you can, right? Invest in getting a coach, a mentor, build your network. Building your network is your net worth, guys. Those relationships, like human capital, I think is so important. Like I think that, you know, as humans, the value that we bring into each other's lives, it's worth millions and billions of dollars in comparison to anything I've ever received, you know, in my life. So I think I've taken a lot from this. If you guys want to let us know in the comment what you've taken away from all this, you know where to reach Ellie. She has been really inspiring, and I think I mean I'm excited to see your journey through Portugal and see what you're going to be doing and volunteering in different countries. I think, you know, ultimately for me, my dream is to be able to go back home to Colombia and be able to travel through Colombia, travel, you know, with my family and really travel experience is most important to me. And I think a lot of us have those feelings of alignment where we want to minimize, we want to grow inside, all from inside. So thank you. And last question, what would you, if you could give advice to a mom that is really in a place where she's so close to like going into business, but she's really like scared and she's fearful. What is one sentence that you would tell her to tell herself on a daily that would help her through all those moments of like taking those big leaps? Because I think taking big leaps are scary, but to have something in your head that you can repeat to yourself, you know, it would be wonderful to have that for moms.
Definitely. So it's just take that first step. Overwhelm, fear, it builds in our heads and when we're staying stuck. If you're staying in the same place, all of this is building and getting worse. So to be able to minimize that or let go of it, you need to take action. You need to take that first step. That's the only way the fear is going to dissipate and get rid of it as well. And you need to let go of the security blanket. If you have like a heap of money in savings or a partner who's making a lot of money, or, you know, there's no real push for you, there's no real drive to go, crap, I've got to do this now, then you're not going to do it. You're going to stay in that comfort zone. So put yourself out there, whether it's putting your savings in a long-term deposit that you can't touch, or it's putting up a post on Facebook and saying, hey, I'm doing this, or it's getting a mentor, or it's, you know, you got to do something that rips off that Band-Aid, backs yourself 100% so you can actually take that step. And that public accountability really helps. Like, don't just be thinking about it in your head. Actually put it out there so you've got nowhere else to go and you've got to do it.
That's so true. Wow, thank you. That has been really, really inspiring and so much, like so many takeaways. Like accountability, social accountability is real. Like I started a burpee challenge and we're on the third day. The 25 burpee challenge. I don't know how I'm going to get to 125 burpees, but I'm going to get them done because people are expecting
totally.
You know, like I have that pressure. It's like I've only done 15 up to now, but I feel like I may die in the process. It's social accountability is real. But Ellie, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your experience and really showcasing what it means to take life and you know, and all your struggles and all your pains and turn them into something beautiful, something that does not happen overnight, but it's not impossible. Thank you.
Totally.
Thank you for your honesty. It's very refreshing to hear about your struggles through all this and how it's always, it's not like a path of growth and then you just stay there. No, you grow and you fall and you grow and you fall. And like,
it's not linear.
No, it's not linear at all. So thank you for sharing that because it even I think I was thinking like, oh no, once I get off, it's going to be perfect. I'm going to go this way and fly up into the sky, you know, but this really reminds me like, no, this is just the beginning and there's going to be way more bigger things, fish to fry always. Like there's always going to be bigger things.
You're always learning and growing until the day you die, hopefully, you know?
Yes. No, it's been amazing. So thank you so much for being here with us. Anything you'd like to say to our viewers before we go?
No, I think I've covered everything. Yeah, just take that first step. I guess actually don't just listen to this. Don't be like, oh, wow, this is inspiring or motivating, and then go back to scrolling Facebook or doing nothing. Go and use that social accountability and decide what's that one action step that you want to take that's going to move you forwards today put it up on social media, share it with a friend, or just go and take action and go and do it.
No, beautiful. And you know, someone says it really beautifully. Lisa Nichols, she says, people make me extraordinary because it gets them off the hook. And I heard that. I was like, all these people, like, we can look at you and be like, oh my God, no, she's extraordinary. She has done everything and she's up here. We could never attain that. But if we actually take in what you're saying and not just say, no, she's above us, we will never get to her level or, you know, be her. Well, it's not about that, because we actually are making it. That's another excuse we make.
Yeah. Don't put people up on a pedestal. I had someone say to me just this morning, actually, my goal is to be like a mini Ellie. I want to be just like you. And I'm like, how about you be more of yourself? How about you just be the best version of yourself? And she's because you are amazing. And she's like, oh, thank you. But I do want to be like you. And it's like, you know, don't put anyone else up on a pedestal just because I've made more money or achieved different things, and then other people, you know, ahead of me doesn't mean they're any better than you. And what I found when people have put me up on a pedestal in the past, you do one little thing that doesn't align with what they believe in and they rip you right down, and they threaten to sue you, or they ask for a refund, or they, you know, hate mail, or horrible stuff goes on. And so I really try and get people to, you know, yeah, great, be inspired or motivated by me or others. That's great. But focus on every day being the best version of yourself.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching replay, let us know. I will post all the links for where you can get in contact with Ellie. Follow her, get into her group. It's amazing. I just joined, so I'm excited to see what's inside. I've been following you through Facebook and, you know, really seeing your journey. And it's been exciting. And now your new journey in the new country, that's even more exciting. Guys, if you love what we talked about, let us know. I want to bring on more women like Ellie, who really are inspiring and taking life into their own hands and deciding, this is what I want my life to be like. Share this with other moms, because I want this to get to as many moms as possible. Moms need to be inspired. Moms are not forgotten. We are isolated a lot of the time, especially with young children, but it does not mean that there's not a world out there waiting for your bright ideas, waiting for your passion, waiting for you to start on your goals and on yourself. So thank you, Ellie. Thank you for being here. Love you guys. You guys are the best. Bye.
Thanks.